We spent 2 months in France during this past winter. Many of the things we experienced are the same as what we're used to seeing in North America. But there are some things that are quite a bit different. Some are to be expected, of course, like paying in euros rather than dollars. Others came as a surprise. One thing that we saw time and time again, payment required to use a public toilet. There's often even a person working in the gate in front of the restrooms to collect the fee from each visitor. Out on the streets, you may come across one of these self-cleaning units too. Once it senses that you've used the toilet and left, it locks its own door and it sprays down the interior surfaces. Some of the fancier models even play music while you're doing your business in there. And the usual common style of residential toilet doesn't dump its load down through the floor like in Canada or the US. It flows out horizontally through the back. Residential electrical outlets, as most people know, are 240 volts here as opposed to the 120 that we have back home. Look closely at the outlet. No surprise, of course, it's shaped differently. What I didn't expect though is this. It's a safer design. Risk of a young child getting his finger in there is almost zero. That's because of a barrier inside, and it only opens when 2 of the prongs of the standard plug are inserted at the same time. Something else that we learned is that the color coding of residential wiring isn't the same. Rather than our black, red, and white standard, France uses a blue insulation on their neutral wire and usually brown on the hot line. Buying fuel for the car, there's gas and there's diesel, but be careful if English is your mother tongue because diesel in French is called gazole. And that sounds a lot like the English word for gasoline, and you don't want to make the wrong choice. Ethanol content varies quite a lot too. There's E85 at a lot of stations, which is an 85% ethanol blend. As you can see, it's a lot less expensive, but many cars will not be compatible with this type of fuel. Grocery shopping, we weren't able to find black beans at all. And peanut butter is just not a common product here. Nutella reigns supreme in the nut spreads. Bread, cheese, yogurt are the items that everyone seems to be buying. This is something new to me. Tomato with raw ground beef sold as a kit. Eggs are kept on the shelf at room temperature. The price of wine varies from very low to very high. I've never seen wine offered in Canada at such a low price as this. Be aware that you're probably going to have to weigh and tag your fruits and veggies while you're in the produce section. The cashiers expect that to be completed by you, the customer, before you come to the cash register. Traffic. The lines on the road are different than ours. The colors of the lines can be different than ours. The signs on the road, street names, traffic instructions, traffic circles. This takes some getting used to while driving in France.
We're on a road, a toll road right now, that has a speed limit of 130 kilometers an hour. Not something that we normally see in North America, but that's pretty cool. Also, if you're traveling outside of your own country, it might be a good idea for you to look online and see what some of the signs mean, because we've had a few times where...
Oh yeah, there have been a few.
We've encountered a traffic sign somewhere and we're like, what the heck does that mean? And it's not like anything we've seen before, and then we've either had to look it up or figure it out between the two of us to say, what are we going to do with that one?
Even just those arrows painted on the white lines.
Yeah.
I didn't know what those were.
Yeah, there's some arrows on the white line that kind of just go curved in, and we're like, what the heck would that be? Like, it's like we're driving down the street. Why would they have an arrow pointing in? But we found out that actually symbolizes that it's the end of a passing lane coming up. That's what our host told us.
Yeah, so get back in your native lane because passing will soon end.
Passing will end.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the positions of red, yellow, green traffic lights is down here at eye level. One thing that's unusual, everybody's yard has a stone fence around it. You don't really see your neighbors. No matter where we went, everyone had a stone fence. Everyone drives small cars. Most of the streets are narrow, both in the cities and out in the countryside.
These are like crazy little narrow roads that are absolutely insane. They're as wide as the car.
And we've got a small car.
And we have a small car, yeah.
And as for RVs, we saw lots of camper vans, Class C motorhomes, and a couple of small tow-behind trailers, but not one fifth wheel. They may exist here, but they were definitely not popular like we see back home. Smaller vehicles and smaller recreational vehicles seem to be the norm here. When you're at an airport or train station, listen for your flight number. French tradition is to say the number in full rather than each digit individually. This one, for example, would be called out in France as flight number 47,821, as opposed to our usual in the US or Canada, which would be like 47821. Roman architecture can be found everywhere, especially in the south of France, where we spent our winter. There are towers, walls, aqueducts, castles, bridges. Some of these are massive and they attract lots of tourists. There are many others that just blend in. They surprise you as you're traveling through the town. This is really how we like to travel, spending weeks or even months in one place. We see the big attractions, of course, and also find small things that help us to understand how everyday life is just a little bit different than what we were used to. Hope I don't look like Donald Trump moving my hands. Until next time, we look forward to seeing you on the road. Check out some of our other videos and subscribe to our channel.
New content will be posted weekly.